Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Joel Madden, and this is Artist Friendly. On this episode, I'll be talking to tattoo artist, creative director, and one of the judges from Paramount Plus's Ink Master, which has a new season out now, Ryan Ashley. Let's go. I don't want no bad times. I don't want to have bad. How's it going, Ryan?
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
You're finally here.
Finally. I know we've been talking about it for a while.
I've asked you to come for the last year.
I know.
I'm very happy you're here.
I know. I was blowing it off for a second. Life got really wild.
But you also live far away.
Yeah, I do. I think I live so far out in the desert that it's kind of like a day and a half to get anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm like Laura Ingalls out there, Little House on the Prairie in the middle of nowhere. But
which is cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. But I'm definitely glad to be doing it. I feel like we've had so many conversations, so many important, impactful conversations that I've left feeling like, man, I wish we could have shared that with, more people that could have also benefited from that, information and exchange. So
we've had so many conversations on set in between, shooting, and you have those hour or 2 hour long breaks and you're just killing time. And then, hanging around. We always go really like introspective, always the deeper meaning. That's kind of always where we always go.
Always. It always leads to that. I think between all of us, everyone has something to contribute, but it's all so interesting to everyone else, right? And the conversation builds and builds and builds. And there's been so many times, in the dressing rooms when we're filming that we've had these conversations that are like moving. Right? Like, remember we had that one convo, it was in the very beginning, season 14. Me, you, Nico, and Ami, one of the biggest, first conversations that we had. I remember feeling like looking at my arms and being like, oh my God, I have goosebumps. Like the hair is standing up on my arms because the energy of the conversation was so contagious. Right? And I think the majority of the conversations we've had have been really deep, like really deep. And it's powerful, right? They've been deep enough that they've sat with me for a while afterwards. And I always leave Ink Master feeling like I gained some really important insight. Yeah. Right? Like I've evolved a little bit more as Ryan because of those moments that, we've all had.
Yeah, I feel that way too.
Yeah.
When I first met you, I only knew you in the context of the show, which is great. For me, as not a tattoo artist, I get to have a lot of fun. I was talking to DJ about this. You being a tattoo artist and an artist, and then also having won the show and going through that competition and that process, that like labyrinth of what it is, and then being a judge, which is a label it sets us up to feel bad. Just the word judge.
Yeah.
Right? So you're like coming from this empathetic place as an artist. I'm not. Right. I am a little. I care about people.
Right.
But there's not as much at stake for me because I'm not going back to my shop and around all these artists in this community of people. They're going to be like, what the fuck did you say that for?
Totally. Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I was on TV and I was just saying what I thought at the moment, but I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
I come back to a music studio and was like, hey, that was cool.
Yeah. But that perspective that you have is also so important because I think for us artists, we get so in depth in those technical fundamentals that we forget to zoom out, right? And see the tattoos for what they are. They're tattoos, right? And so to hear an opinion without such a, in-depth technical education, just a basic first glance opinion, that's really important too. Because
the average Joel.
The average Joel.
You always say it.
The average Joel. It's so important. The
average Joel.
It's so important.
That looks cool,
Yes,
I like
absolutely.
how you put that on his arm, the way it's laid out.
I can't believe we haven't actually used the average Joel in any sort of like Ink Master copy. Like, can we get some t-shirts?
I mean, it's catchy.
Not just the average Joel.
Not just the average Joel. But that is actually my perspective when I'm looking at tattoos. I just go, oh, cool.
Totally. Yeah.
Remember though, one time you really you changed my whole, actually, maybe it was the first season. Yeah, it was.
I have no idea what's coming.
I had this chip on my shoulder because I have some bad tattoos. I have like 2 legs of stuff. Not to say my left leg is actually not that bad. It's just not finished.
Yeah.
But like the old stuff when you started getting tattooed and you're just cover me as fast as possible.
I'm still doing that, to be honest. Anyway.
Just cover me.
Yeah.
And then now tattooing has gotten so much more sophisticated and it's gotten so much more accessible. You can find artists, you can get to them, you can get tattooed, and then you have other inspiration because you're on Instagram and you're like, oh, look how he did his, and you have so much more to like look at and draw from and create your idea of what you want to look like. And I had a chip on my shoulder with people who had perfect looking tattoos, and I said to you,
I remember,
it looks too perfect, and you said,
no, that's not what you said. That's not what you said.
What did I say?
You were like, I hate when people have only good tattoos. Or something, right?
Yeah,
like I hate when people
it.
have.
And I meant it.
I know you did.
And you were like, "Ooh, sounds like someone's jealous."
Yeah, I absolutely remember that because I have the same feeling. And you know who we were looking at? We were looking at Angel Rose because Angel Rose has the most perfect throat tattoo and everything is symmetrical and done really well. It's like a
vision of perfection,
beautiful layout. And you know, she was standing there, and you were like, "Man, those tattoos are so good." You know what I hate? I hate when people have only good tattoos. And when you said it, I was like, I registered what that emotion was because I've felt it before too. And it's jealousy. It's jealousy.
And you said that to me. You said, oh, and you were nice about it. You said, sounds like someone's a little jealous. And I was like,
my God,
you're right.
Like we just identified what that emotion is that I'm feeling.
Where else am I doing this in my life?
Yeah.
But I was like, whoa, you're right. And it changed how I see those super clean bodysuits of like well-planned, perfect tattoos. Now I am jealous and I give them the props they deserve.
Well, you have to be real with yourself too, because are you the type of person that's willing to commit to years of scheduled tattoo appointments and paying all that money and treating it like a, you know what I mean? To get those beautiful, symmetrical, perfect bodysuits, it's a commitment. I'm not that person. I am not that person. I like getting my tattoos on a whim. I like having a crazy idea and being like, let's go, let's do it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you earn it in a deeper way that way as well, right? Because you're not taking yourself too seriously and you're actually celebrating the moments of your life that are so personal. It doesn't even really matter that much what they look like. It's what they mean to you. Yeah. And it's just a different type of collector, I think. Yeah.
I'd say the biggest thing I learned over the years in getting tattooed is just someone who wants to, I do want to be covered. Look at the parts of my body that don't have tattoos when I'm, in my swim trunks or whatever. My knees aren't covered. They stick out at me. I'm like, oh, those knees, those awful knees.
What is that? What is that skin?
What is that? Blank skin?
Ew.
And so what's interesting about where I've gotten to at this age as in a more like therapeutic mindset is like how fucking mean I was to myself as a kid and why I got tattooed in the first place wasn't exactly healthy.
Right.
And I've taken it to a healthier place. And the healthier place is that I love it.
Yeah.
And now I pick people I love. I don't get tattooed that much. I'd get tattooed way more if I had the nerve still to like sit there. And so the older I get, the less my nerves kind of like I even want to.
Yeah.
But at the end of the whole thing, I will be covered and I'll have every inch of me covered.
Yeah.
And I'll get there in my own time. But I've learned to like pick people you love and let them tattoo you. Give them an idea of what you're feeling. And then they're going to come up with something great because you love them and you love their art and you love their ideas. And then you'll have this piece of art from someone you love on your body and it'll be special in a different way. When I was younger, I was just like, I want this there, which is a different thing.
It absolutely is because I think the older I get, the more definitely spiritual I become. And not just more spiritual, I am starting to understand, or I believe that I understand, energy a lot more and how energy is transferred and how you could be like changed and affected in a really deep level by the energy that someone else gives you, right? And so with tattooing, tattooing started, in the beginning of its roots as something sacred. But I think there was just a 3,000-year-old Egyptian mummy that was discovered, and she was a high priestess, high noble priestess, and she was covered in tattoos. She had throat tattoos, she had sleeves, all of this, and it was regarded as this beautiful ceremonial thing. And through history, tattoos have always been spiritual or represented important things, and they've become you. They've meshed with your physical body, and you develop a new identity. But they've always been about respect. You had to earn your right to tattoo, basically. And in the last few years, some of us in our studio have always talked about how really tattooing itself, the act of tattooing, is such a spiritual thing, because what you're doing is you are putting ink into someone's skin. You're putting a piece of artwork on them. But if it's your artwork, you're giving a piece of your soul. You're putting that art in with such intention into that person, and it's such a transfer of energy. And it's not to be taken lightly. It's really important that the person that's tattooing you really understands the level of importance that tattoo is to you, right? And shows you the respect as the client to understand how meaningful it is and how much that tattoo can change their life, right? And I think something that we're missing, that we're losing in the tattoo industry, is respect. I think we're losing respect for each other. I think we're losing respect for the client. I think we're forgetting that at the end of the day, we're in the business of customer service.
100%.
That's what our job actually is. And we're not, waiting on these people. We're not, our job is not customer service in the classic sense of customer service, right? It's not like we have a call line and people call in or anything like that.
Yeah, you're not waiters or waitresses. It's collaborative.
It's collaborative, but it's still something we should be taking pride in serving these clients and making sure they could have the best experience they could possibly have. And a lot of artists now, because art is advancing so much, AI is taking over the tattoo industry. It's swiping it clean. Because in the tattoo industry, there's many different types of tattooers. There are really creative artists that come up with these insane fucking concepts, but the trick for them is translating that into skin. And then there are artists who are insane replicators, like computer printers, that could go down and just replicate something like a hyper-realistic photograph, but they may not necessarily have the skills to create that image from scratch, right? They could replicate.
From conception, to...
Totally.
Yeah.
And then the conceptual artists may not have the technical skills that these replicators could have.
Right.
And now what AI is doing is it's breaking down this boundary so that the color realism replicator artists are able to use AI and come up with these concepts and these references that were never before available.
Yeah, so fast.
So instantly.
Right.
Literally, it's instant. And so now the art that's coming out of the industry is, it's mind-blowing. It's beyond the level I ever actually thought it was going to be at, to be honest. And especially in the last year since AI has taken over, I can't believe some of the stuff that's happening in tattooing. But in that, it loses its soul a little bit. It does. Because we're taking all these beautiful concepts that these artists can imagine and we're having AI render it for us, right? But for me as an artist, part of the beauty of art is having the idea in your mind and trying to translate that into the physical form, right? Into this reality. And artists are no longer doing that. And I think art happens when your hand tries to create what you see in your mind. And it's that translation that you have all of the happy accidents and the little mistakes and the painting starts to take its own form. And for me, sometimes when I paint, it almost starts to tell me what it is. And so...
That's the magic.
We're losing the magic. Yeah. We're losing the magic.
The lightning in a bottle when you get it right.
Yeah.
It's in music too.
Yeah.
If you listen to the Top 100 or New Music Friday or those, I don't know the number yet. They'll have it soon. But a percentage of those songs are actually AI generated in some part of their process. So even if it started in AI and then they took it and finished it, that's where most of the AI generated music that people aren't telling you that they used AI.
Yeah.
But you can kind of, there's a feeling that's hard to explain because there's like a soullessness to, like I told you, we're making a new Good Charlotte album.
Yes.
And the magic of it is that we're beating our heads against the wall to get to the song we think that's good enough. And it's all coming from in us.
Yeah.
And there's nothing about the process that's automatic.